call your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, give the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. Sounds like a good deal. So let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Ohio has something to celebrate this Black History Month. If you did not know, Ohio played a huge part in the Underground Railroad story. Cincinnati and even Columbiana County's Salem all played a part in getting slaves to freedom in the abolitionist movement. There is a piece that was published February 13th out of the Vindicator by Sheen Barron explaining how local communities the local communities that did play a part in the Underground Railroad movement. That's why story number 1 made it this week, because it's Black History Month. Big head. Story number 2. Another score for YSU. This time it's in sports. The Bigley Center has been due for some upgrades. This time it will get a $2 million upgrade for seating, some new seats. Now, if you did not know, Jared Calhoun, who is a coach, men's coach, he is determined to get more investments into the facilities. Jared Calhoun, if you did not know, has been at YSU for some time now, and he is the driving force for his Bigley Center upgrade vision. This story is still developing. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3, $2.8 million in one of Ohio's grants. Mahoning and Trumbull counties will get more than $2.8 million to split out of the $51 million opioid settlement. If you did not know, the money will help fund substance abuse prevention, treatment, and recovery projects in Ohio. That's why, especially in this area, that's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4, ARP funds in the eyes of fire departments. They're looking for the ARP money. 4 local fire departments are asking for nearly $200,000 from the county's portion of the American Rescue Plan funds because they want to purchase the new ambulances to start or improve emergency medical services, according to an article by Raymond L. Smith of the Vindicator. Now, if you have not noticed, local emergency crews have been very busy and are in need of money and support to pay the bills. If you did not know that, now the story is still developing. The city of Girard was also highlighted in the report. So story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. The EPA gives a permit for sobate. Go on. According to the Vindicator report published February 15th by David Skolnick, the Ohio EPA has issued a permit for Sobate Thermal Energy Systems, LLC, to go on with its energy program to shred tires that would be converted into gas to provide steam energy to downtown Youngstown. Now, the report goes, the plans are facing mass opposition in Youngstown, according to the report. The permit was even opposed by Youngstown Mayor Jamel Tito Brown due to safety and pollution concerns. Now, the article is filled with information, perspectives from different sides on why so many people do not want the deal with the plant to take place and take shape in the downtown area. Now, videos are also available online for anyone seeking more information. Folks, this story is still developing. So story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6. An 11-year-old with a gun. How crazy is that? One report published February 9th about an 11-year-old girl who was arrested at East Middle School after police found a gun on her has added more fuel to the growing gun debate story. Now, how guns became a central concern for many of Americans right now, especially American youth abroad across the United States and locally, has remained consistently in the headlines, causing a lot of stir and questions on how does an 11-year-old girl get a gun? Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. One common thing you will hear somebody say who doesn't like to know what's going on or may not be that informed. They may be informed, maybe a little informed, is that they'll always say that the news is depressing. Yes, it is, but if you don't know what's going on, you will be the victim of a lot of people who are sucked into a lot of things that they find themselves not being able to get out of. I know what being informed has done for me. So locally, I hope that I'm doing you a favor. I mean, some people say, well, Brian, why are you doing this? Go home, kick your feet up, do something nasty. But I would rather stay informed. So let's waste no time for it. Let's get to these top 2 stories. Officer down in Youngstown, but not out. Body camera footage released by the Youngstown Police Department shows a little bit of what took place when an officer was grazed in the head by a bullet during a shootout Friday on the city's south side. The entire incident took place near the Ravenwood-Glenwood area when officers tried to make a traffic stop. Ed Runyon has a piece published February 13th about the entire incident and how the investigation is still ongoing. So story number 7 almost made it to the top this week. We were talking police getting shot. How sad is that? Big happened. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made this week during Black History Month. To keep you informed, I've talked about officers getting shot, things that are happening in Youngstown in the city, keeping people informed, keeping myself informed, myself in tune, and I'm doing it for the greater good of the public. I literally have. I've tried a lot of things in my life, but I seem to be doing this, so I'm going to keep on moving on until they come after me in many different ways, baby. Well, let's get to this top story. Story number 8. New money to be spread out in Ohio. Wonder if I'll see any of this lovely money that they have. TimesReporter.com says that Ohio is sitting on $700 million in cash thanks to a federal funding tsunami during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the piece goes on to explain how federal money that surged into the economy led to higher revenues pouring into the state coffers. Now, Ohio officials are now planning on how to spend this money. Folks, this story is still developing. I see if they'll shoot some of that money towards the Mediator so I can be a blessing to the local area, may even be able to bless more people who want and desire to work, do something constructive. That's what I've done. I've stayed busy, folks, because I'm fighting on for the American spirit. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Aunt Tasha, she said that you can be done and still make a lot of money.
Don't be deceived, okay? Just get the work done. Get your work done, graduate, you'll be successful. Don't be deceived. I told you that. Now hit the books.
Mom's not coming back, is she, Dad?
Well, test scores again?
Every teacher is in here day and night, and it's not our fault.
Uriah aced her random proficiency test because you helped her. She's the first student in the city's district to ace that test.
So did he pay?
No, who only paid that?
Apply the pressure.
Hey, get that mess out of here!
You think you picked this district Titi. I'm going to Puerto Rico. Me voy a Puerto Rico, Titi. Cálmate. Calm down. ¿Cómo que me calme? How am I calm down? You had us come here, Titi. How can I protect myself? That's all I need for you to help me with. How do I protect myself?
Oh, they're not going to hurt you.
If this is what I get for being a good student and acing a test, I'd rather have failed.
I never told you that being good would be easy.
Clear target, cannot miss.
Home for his little girl. Take me.
They're in danger.
I won't tell you how this is gonna end, Laura, but my history professor once told me, in order to prevent a genocide, you first have to kill the dictator.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, it is Black History Month and it's President's Day this week. And today we remember the presidents who have served this country. I mean, when you look at the president, the position of the presidency, I overhear people talking about how a lot of Americans overlook how important that seat actually is. I mean, this is probably, you're at the top of the board of the United States of America, 50 states. And then you have foreign affairs, you have bills that have to be passed. And not only that, but you have to worry about being assassinated. You have to worry about the country carrying all of the rules that come along. And a lot of people disrespect the Oval Office. They don't know what the job entails. Now this is on all angles. This is an important job, and it's sad because a lot of presidents have been assassinated. I think we've probably finally reached a point to where presidents are actually protected. But Reagan was almost assassinated. He got shot. Kennedy's were. You go all throughout the first part of America. These guys were prime time targets. It was a death ticket. So we get down to America where, I mean, can you imagine you're in there and now that you can see how these guys lose their mind. You're constantly paranoid. I mean, President Bush had a shoe thrown at him. I mean, how crazy is that, Junior? I mean, how you giving a speech and next thing you know, you're feeling all confident. You're already paranoid. Probably got to take some paranoia medication, and somebody throws a shoe at you, and next thing you know, people are trying to kill you. It's crazy. It kind of makes you think, is it even worth running? But that's probably why a lot of people don't want the job. You get guys in there, and it's just crazy. Then you got some people who may not know or don't know you can't do the normal things that normal people do. So, and then when you get out of office, you still can't do the normal things that people do. So shout out to the people who have given the service. A lot of people get ridiculed and they get criticized, but they have to keep the ship afloat. I wish Marilyn Monroe was still alive. And a lot of the pop stars who have entertained the presidents. I guess I'll sing a song for the president today. There is hope at the end of the mountain. There is praise when you do the right thing. And if you're in the Oval Office to get rich and wealthy, then you may be on somebody's list to be slain. So if you're president, be all you can be. Woo! I ain't Marilyn Monroe. But if they keep running around with the rainbow flags, baby, I'm sure they'll like my tune. Oh, yeah. Story number 1. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Oops, got ahead of myself. Story number 1. Inflation eases up in January for the presidents. All I have left, I've given a song, even though I've I'm in the philanthropy business. Fox Business has a piece on how inflation is still squeezing the life out of home budgets, but there are signs of hope, folks. The piece talks about how the typical U.S. household had to pay $213 more a month in January to purchase the same goods and services from a year ago that were probably less, according to the report. Now, the piece goes on to say how Americans are paying $605 more each month compared to 2 years ago. Now, it also explains how the country is moving in the right direction as inflation eases and things slowly get back to normal after the COVID meltdown. So you have to ask yourself, this President's Day, what is the president doing? Is he worried? Is he concerned? And right now there seems to be a little bit concerned with the health, but what about the economy and the money? Are we in a better position to pay down our debts? Are we in a better position to work? That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2, the refugee story and what we need to know. More than 1 million people are seeking shelter after a piece in The Guardian focuses on how Rafah's 1 million refugees are on alert as Israel continues its war with Hamas. Now, at least 67 people have been killed during the hostage rescue. Now, according to the headline, most of the people fear that there is just nowhere left to go, especially with all this craziness going on. This includes 600,000 children, folks. How sad is that, folks? This story is still developing. That's what story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3, education is in the spotlight. Is it even worth getting an education? Yes, it is. Is it worth paying for it? Many questions. Futurism has an interesting piece on education. The article talks about how some college students are having problems with reading. The piece highlights the COVID-19 lockdown learning gap and even talks about what could be causing the learning issues in a world filled with learning opportunities. The piece, the article puts a huge spotlight on the growing need for education and why these stories continue on in the headlines, folks. This story is still developing. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Tech layoffs are a topic of discussion. Business Insider says that tech layoffs are spreading, if you did not know. Since the start of 2024, over 34,000 workers have been laid off in the tech industry. The report says that companies are taking the cheap route and putting their faith and trust in AI, artificial intelligence, and cutting down in other areas. Now, this story will cause a wave of concerns in a market that is still in need of good paying jobs. So this is a big headline. That's what story number 4 made it this week. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, I was getting prepared for the show, and I couldn't believe it. Somebody shot up, put some gunshots at Joel Osteen's church. How crazy that? Then they went, and after the Super Bowl, somebody was shooting at the parade. Every week, somebody is shooting. I'm like, dang. You know, you don't want to think that there's something strange going on, but this has been going on quite for a long time. You had the Vegas shootings. I mean, you had the shooting up nightclubs. The shootings is going on and on. You know, I'm thinking like, oh, something could happen to me some night. I could be doing something just basic, but I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not. Live my life, you know. I was a gunner's mate in the Navy. If I got to die by the bullet, I could be at one of these events, just passing out flyers or something, cleaning somebody's shoes, washing somebody's feet. I've tried to be a good man. There's a lot of good people, but we just wonder why. Why are you going after the innocent people? Go to the hood. You don't see them picking on the people who doing all the dirt. They picking on the good people. Kids, children at a parade. You gonna go bring a gun. That sounds like you need an ass whooping. Pardon my language. I'm talking about the donkeys. Folks, I even made a song about it. Don't pick on me, don't pick on me. Pick on a donkey. A donkey is a donkey. A donkey is a donkey. Don't pick on me, don't pick on me. Pick on those folks who selling the weed. Pick on those folks who selling the drugs. Don't pick on me, don't pick on me. I have not done nothing to the donkey. Nothing makes sense, folks. Glad I got that song out. I've been waiting to get that song out since, I wrote that song in the first grade in Miss Tueson's class. Whew. Don't pick on me and the donkey. It'll be coming out pretty soon. I'll be putting it on the website. Let's waste no time, folks. Don't pick on me. Don't pick on me. Go pick on that donkey. Don't pick on me. Don't pick on me. Pick on that jackass donkey. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Stop the killing. The innocent killers. Story number 5. What is in the $95 billion aid bill? Early Tuesday, the Senate passed an emergency spending package that would provide military aid to Ukraine and Israel to replenish U.S. weapons systems and provide food, water, and other humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza, according to an AP News. Now, what has the story trended is if America even has the money to pay the bill. If the president signs it, that's what story number 5 made it this week, because where everybody's strapped for cash. Big help. Story number 6. A world of border confusion. There is a lot of confusion when it comes to the border concerns between America and the United States, U.S. Now, according to the older folks, the border has been open since the founding of the 50 states. That's according to the older folks. Some gentleman was in the parking lot there, Brian, that border been open up for a long time. Yeah, ain't nothing gonna change, Brian. I can't stand the president. We need some jobs. Young now they need some jobs. Now that means that even as immigration stories continue to hit major headlines, migration stories are nothing new. So what does this mean? It means that asylum laws and immigration laws are constantly and consistently being tested in the border confusion, because there is no way to know for sure what is coming in or who or what is already in the country, unless you start doing census and you start raiding people's houses and martial law, all types of crazy folks. The immigration stories are staying in top headlines. That's why story number 6 made it this week. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. This Black History Month, celebrating Harriet Tubman, who was the spy for the Republic, Civil War to end slavery. She survived a journey that a lot of people were kind of wondering, how in the world did she survive? She had no education. She was just on the run and had the ambition and the wherewithal that she was going to give her life to end slavery, if that would amount to. So she was the founding member of all of what you see now, freedom. She was a spy. She went back and rescued slaves on the Underground Railroad. How could it be done? Harriet Tubman. That's why we spend this time to reflect. Story number 7. This Black History Month. The economy update, the economic update. News Nation says the job market is hot. Daily Mail says U.S. applications for jobless benefits have fallen. Business Insider reports on how some economists see a soft landing for the U.S. economy in a positive labor market with good GDP data showing promising signs. Now, even with all of these good signs, MoneyWise still has a piece on how almost a third of Americans earning $150,000 a year or more are still living paycheck to paycheck, with many relying on credit cards. Now, one report talks about how a Brooklyn college grad has 2 degrees, speaks 3 languages, and can't even find a minimum wage retail job. Now, all of these reports show that we still live in an uncertain economy, but there are some signs of hope, folks. This story is still developing. That's why story number 7 also made to the top this week. Big head. Story number 8 at the top. International headline and developing news story that made it this week, celebrating Black History Month. Another person we remember this Black History Month is, let's see, Flojo, she was a track star. It was once upon a time where she was the fastest woman on earth. If anybody remembers Flojo. Now, Flojo is another black historian. She won some Olympic medals, led the U.S. team in races, and if you go back, I think it was about her time, she was she liked to wear nice, flashy clothes, and she brought a little bit of style to the track. If we all remember Flojo. I like track, so I figured I'd use that story. The next generation is on the move because there's some new Flojos out there. Story number 8. Criminal America's obsession with mass shootings. Another gun story at the top. How sad. How does someone shoot up a Super Bowl parade? America's mass shooting conspiracies continue after 20 people were injured and 1 person dead at a rally celebrating the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory. According to the investigation, the shootings were sparked by an altercation between some attendees. Now, here's a stat. America, the country, U.S., had 656 mass shootings in 2023, according to Axios.com. Joel Osteen. How do you shoot up Joel Osteen's shoot at Joel Osteen's church? Wow. Whew, that's crazy. When you're talking about the gospel of Jesus. Joel Osteen's church was also hit by a shooting incident with a woman who carried out the shooting. She was shot dead by police. Folks, this story is still growing because the gun debate is still on. These stories are adding to the gun debate. I guess this one was with her son, according to some reports. I hope I'm getting that right. Well, folks, let me get out of here. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, the journalists, people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I am just a mediator, the man in the middle, navigating your stories to keep people informed for the greater good of the public. If you want to show us some support here at Method, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor the program. Or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street and buy something in the store, and that's in Mormon or Youngstown, Ohio. Folks, when all is said and done, we all have a story to tell. We all can volunteer our time. I am volunteering my time to do this. Some people may ask why, but just like a Navy SEAL would say, somebody has to carry the boats. Well, folks, I'm out of here. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 more stories just to keep you informed. Thank you for tuning to The Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.